the price and cost increase case. This is a case that is going to build some new skills for you. So I give you a memo. In the memo, I'm saying that we recently vertically integrated a company that's going to be both a wholesaler and a retailer. So what this means is going to be a company that's going to manufacture the product and then sell it in a retail store. So some companies just manufacture and sell to other retailers, and some companies will manufacture and sell in their own stores, sort of like Apple, which will make their own products and then sell them in their Apple stores. So the first thing is to complete the following web sheet using the comments on the top of each row to calculate the new retail and wholesale prices. So in the first sheet, which is entitled Price Increase, you'll see that whenever you see this little red triangle here, usually if you hover over it, it'll release a comment. So this comment says sales units times old retail price. So that would mean sales units times old retail price. And this is going to give us the total old retail sales. So I'm going to format that as currency. And I'm going to take out the zeros because we don't need the column to be that big. And then I'm going to double, when this white cross turns to a black plus, or this white plus turns to a black plus, you can double click and you can bring the formula all the way to the bottom of the column. Now if you see these hashtags here, this just means you have to open the column up a little bit. You can also do that by double clicking. When you get this double arrow, you can double click and it'll automatically resize the column for you. And you always want to do currency. You don't want to click on this. This is the accounting format. That's not proper for finance professionals. We use currency. And then we always, if it's more than $100, we take off the change. So this is part of properly formatting your document, that the column widths and the formats are correct. Okay, so moving on to the next column, column F, we have a note here that says sales units times old wholesale price. Okay, so sales units times old wholesale price. And now what we have here is the old wholesale sales. So, and if I double click this down, the formula will come down. Now if I highlight this whole column and hit Format Painter, I can move the format painting over here so we get the same currency structure. Okay, so this column's filled in already. This column's completed. So here's the next column, I. And it says here, sales units times old wholesale cost. So we're looking at old wholesale cost. So number of units times the old wholesale cost, which is right here. So this gives us the old wholesale cost. And what this means is, for the wholesaler, and cost is a dollar amount. So again, I'm going to just copy the formatting over, so this is in dollars. So what it means is this, for the wholesaler, it cost them $2,000 to make it in total, or $1.62 per unit. And since this is a cost, this should be formatted in dollars as well. And this should be formatted in dollars because these are costs. So they're properly, now these are units, so they stay as a number. So now, usually when it sees under $100, so I should open up the change. Okay. So if it's under, if some numbers are under $100, then we can, if I double click the Format Painter, then I can do this on multiple columns. Try it again. If I double click it, then I should be able to use the format on multiple columns like that. And then I can just hit escape to reverse that. Okay, so we have the information here. This is the material. This is the item, the product. We sold 1,440 of them. This is the retail sale, the old retail sales price, what the customer would pay in the store. The total retail sales, which means the individual price times the number of units, gives us our total sales. Here's the old wholesale price. So old wholesale price times units gives us our total wholesale, old wholesale prices. And then there's a retail discount. So this retail discount is saying 25%. And so that means that the the discount the retailer gets from their retail price to the wholesale price is 25%. And then we have the old wholesale cost, the total cost, and then the old wholesale GM percent, which means gross margin percentage, which means that from the price they sell it at, which would be, and the formula is already here. So you take the old wholesale price minus the cost divided by the price, which is this formula up here. It's already inputted into the spreadsheet. So this would be the GM. This means for every dollar sold in wholesale, we're making 71% profit. Okay, so let's move down to complete this analysis. So here we have the new wholesale cost. So here it's saying use a VLOOKUP to import the new cost from the new cost tab. This is the new cost tab. So in here we have the new costs. So what they're asking me to do, let me just make this bigger so you can see it. These are the new costs. So here's the material number and the new costs. So they want me to bring in, using 900, they want me to bring in that number. Now these two columns don't match up correctly. So I can't just copy this whole column and bring it over. They're not exactly equal. So in this case where I'm trying to match things up to bring over information from a different tab, we have this skill, which you've learned from the LinkedIn Learning videos, where we can insert a VLOOKUP. So I'm going to say insert function VLOOKUP. And I have the box here, the arguments box. So the lookup value, I'm going to select the material as lookup value. I'm selecting the whole column. Now the table array is going to be from the source, which is the new cost. So I'm going to select the entire area. And what I want is from column B, this information, the cost information. So we count column A is 1, column B is 2, so the column index number is 2. And then we always use false for the work we're doing here in finance in this spreadsheet. So I'm going to hit OK. So now it brought over the $1.67, which is what is tied to 900. So the next number is 960, 963, 964. And if we see over here, we have 964, 970, and here we have 966 and 970. So we don't want to see this 285. So that's why we're doing the VLOOKUP. And if I take this and copy it down, now I have, you could see it skipped the 433. So it went from 316 to 285, 343. So the 316 to the 433, and then 3, so 70, 64. Let's go back. 70 and then 64, right? Skipping the 285. And that's what we want because they're not completely matched up perfectly. So we have to use a VLOOKUP to bring this data in. Okay. Now moving over to the next column, and it says here, unit sales times new wholesale cost. Okay, so we want to use the unit sales, which is down here, times the new wholesale cost. So we enter that in, and what we get here is the new wholesale cost. Based on the increase, we're going from 162 to 167, so we're seeing an increase in the wholesale cost. Now, for the format painter, I can highlight, since these two columns, I want the format from these two columns. So I'm going to go back to home, click the format painter, and then highlight these two columns, and it'll automatically bring the proper formatting over. Okay, so now we have the new wholesale GM. So it's saying calculate the new GM using the new cost. Okay, so the formula is already here, which would be E, old wholesale price, minus K, the new wholesale cost, divided by E. So this gives us the new GM. I'm going to copy this down. So we see our GM went from 71 to 70% because our costs went up. So the GM, the gross margin, goes down as costs go up. So change in the wholesale GM. So let me move this over so you can see the whole. Okay. So can't say it. Okay. Calculate the change from the old GM to new GM. So it's old minus new. So basically what we're doing is old minus new. Simple as that. It's already in the correct format. Copy this down. But I think that this percentage, if we click on this percent under format, and then we can open it up, because it should be, since the number is so small, we should have some points beyond the decimal place. Okay, old wholesale total profits. So here it's saying, is a hint, F3 times J3. So I'm going to say, I can just type this in, F3 times J3. So what we have here, let's go back to F. So F3. So F3 is old wholesale sales, and then J is old wholesale GM. So that doesn't seem right. So we're saying here F times J, because we're trying to calculate the profits using the old, so calculate the profits. Yeah, so this should not be a percent. This should be a dollar amount. Okay, so that makes more sense, because what we're doing is we're taking the sales and multiplying it by the old wholesale gross margin percentage, which gives us the profits. So that would be the old wholesale profits. Now, the wholesale profits, total profits using the new cost. So here it's saying calculate the profits using the wholesale, the new wholesale. So F3 times M3. So here if I hit plus, we go to F3 is going to be the old wholesale sales, and we're going to multiply that by the new GM percentage. So this would be the new profits. So, but again, it's in the wrong format. Profit should be in dollars. So we can see that we went from 57 to 56 because we dropped 1% in gross profit. So I can actually highlight these together and double click them down. Now, new wholesale price. So it's saying here, calculate the new wholesale price to maintain the old GM percent. So it says take the new cost divided by 1 minus the old GM percent. Okay, so the formula is actually already here. So that would be K, the new wholesale cost, divided by 1 minus J3, which is the old wholesale percent. So this would give us what the new wholesale price should be to maintain the old GM percentage. So basically we have to raise the price to 580, and the price was 562. Let's see, this was the old wholesale 562. So if we want to maintain that same profit margin, we have to increase the price to 580, and this should be formatted as currency. Okay, now the new wholesale sales would be the wholesales price times the sales units. So that's going to be B3 times Q. So basically what we're saying is let's take the units, that's the B3, and we're going to multiply that by the new wholesale price. And this gives us our total new wholesale sales. Because the price went up, so sales are going up. Currency, and we can get rid of the change here and resize that. In fact, if we click on the whole spreadsheet here and we double click on between A and B, when they get the double arrows, it will automatically resize the whole spreadsheet. Okay, so let's keep moving on. New wholesale profit. So this is going to be Q3 minus K3 times B3. Okay, so Q minus K in parentheses times B. So we're going to say parentheses Q times K. So I'm going to go over to K, parentheses, and then multiplied by B3. Oops. Okay, so what we have here is we followed the formula, Q minus K3 times B3. And what we're basically doing here, again, this is in currency. Don't need to change. So this is the new wholesale profits based on the new costs and the new sales price. So what would be the new retail? So we're asking, we want to maintain the same price to maintain the old GM percentage, the old retail GM percentage, and we want to make sure we keep the same discount, so we have to use a new formula. So now here we could see that we can't read the full comment, so we could click here and we can say, I'm going to say show hide comment, and then I'm going to click on the comment and I can open this comment up so that I can resize it in a way that I can read it. And now, so this says old retail price divided by old wholesale price times new wholesale price. Okay, so that's the formula. So we're going to take, it's already written in here, C is the old retail, E is the old wholesale. So we're dividing those together and multiplying it by Q, the new wholesale price. And this will give us what the new retail price should be to maintain that same gross margin. So what's happening here is costs are going up, so we're moving prices up so we don't lose our gross margin percentages. We want them to be stable at the same rate. Okay, so I'll move that down. I'll double click here to open up the cell. So now we want to calculate the new retail sales. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to hide the comment. I'm going to look at this new retail sales. So there's no comment here, but there is a formula. So it's T times B, which is the units. So the new retail price times the total units gives us the total new retail sales. So new retail profits, again, following the same logic, is going to be T minus Q, which is retail price minus wholesale price times quantity, gives us the new retail profits for the retailer. So change in total retail in dollars. So here we're saying U3 minus D3. So what we're looking at is U3, which is the new retail sales, minus the old retail sales, which is D. So this gives us, and we can see that this is formatted incorrectly. So we want to bring this over, we want to bring this to dollars because it says dollars here. So this would be the change in dollars to reflect the change in price. So change in wholesale dollars, this would be similar. Again, I'm not sure if we're seeing this whole comment. So let me bring this over, open up this comment. Okay, so what is the total difference between the new wholesale sales and the old wholesale sales? So this, I'm asking you to kind of be smart and figure this out. So we're going to take the new wholesale sales minus the old wholesale sales. Here we go, total. Okay, so the difference is 263. So it's just following the same logic of, new retail minus old retail dollars. And here we're taking new wholesale minus old wholesale dollars. So the same logic, copy that down. Now change in total retail profits. So how the total change in retail profits, we're going to take, of course, you start with the new retail profits minus the old retail profits. I'll find them, it's in here somewhere. Okay, so actually there is no column for old retail profits. So we're going to have to create one. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up a new column to create. So we have the new retail total profits. We should create the old retail total profits. So let's put it somewhere logical. So we have the old retail sales, and we want the old. So the wholesale sales. So what we do is we're going to open this up here. We're going to say old retail profits. And I'm going to take the retail sales minus the wholesale sales. That is the retail profits. Because what it means is the retail buys at the wholesale. So the retail is buying the wholesaler sales price. So the retailer buys the product for total product for $8,000 and then sells it to their customer for $10,000. So the profits are going to be here. So this is sort of a trick question because I'm asking you for a piece of information that's not yet created in the file. So now I can calculate the change in retail profits by taking the new retail profits and subtracting from the new column we just created old retail profits. Copy that down. Now though, now that I've created this new column, these instructions for these other cells are going to be off. So this one cell is here going to say change in wholesale profits. So it's no longer going to, the little hint I gave here is no longer going to work. So we're going to have to figure out this on our own. So change in total wholesale profits, that's going to be the old wholesale profits minus the new wholesale profits. Now things are the way. It's going to be the new wholesale profits minus the old wholesale profits. So that gives us change in wholesale profits of 8,000, which makes sense because the new wholesale profits are 13, and the old wholesale profits are 5. So that's definitely a correct number. So let's bring that down. Now it's the last column, double check the GM percent. So here we're saying double check. Use the field as double checked. It should match the old GM price. Okay. So here we have 71.2 for the GM, wholesale GM. Back over here, the wholesale GM. What's this saying? Okay, so 71.2. Here's the old wholesale. Let's open this up. See, this is why it doesn't match, but it actually does match if you open up let's open it up to one position after the decimal point, and we see that the old wholesale GM is 71.2, and this double check field here is 71.2. So what we're basically doing is taking the new wholesale values in this formula here to make sure that we're actually calculating the proper, maintaining the GM percentage with the new increase. The whole point of making these new increases in price is to maintain our GM. So we're going to do that also with the retail. So on the retail side, U minus R divided by U. So if we go to column U is the new retail price minus R, the wholesale, because the retail is going to be measured. We have to work with the wholesale as the cost to the retailer. So this is basically just calculating the margin. So this 25, 45. If we go back and we look at the the retail discount, this discount is basically the margin for the retailer. Okay, and that's what we've done here. And there's also, so these are just double check fields, because the whole reason we're doing this is because we want to maintain, we have a price increase and we have a cost increase. And the whole reason what we're trying to do is only increase the costs so that we keep a consistent and steady profit margin. Okay. So the spreadsheet part here is complete. Now if we go to the memo, so we complete the spreadsheet, which we did, calculate each row for our new retail and wholesale prices. Now the question is, if we don't increase the price of our products, what is the change in total profits from the cost to the cost increases? Now we answered that in one of the columns, but what we should do whenever we put a spreadsheet together, we should have a total row. So we're going to say totals for each of the rows that are a total row. So we don't need individual, no point of totaling up individual retail price, but total sales, we should do a total. And the easiest way to do that is I'm just going to click auto sum, and then I'm going to highlight the entire column and hit enter. So now I've created the total here, and I can drag this over. Actually, I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to use Control C to copy, and whenever there's a total, I'm going to paste. So this is this is a total. This is a total. That's a total. That's a total. 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 Okay. These can be totaled. Profits changes. Okay. So now you see some of these have these hashtags, which just mean I have to resize the spreadsheet to fit those numbers, which I just double-clicked. Double-clicking between two columns will automatically resize the spreadsheet. Okay, now that I have these totals, so what I'm going to do to make this a little bit more clear is I'm going to go over here and put the question here, and then I'm going to have the question here. So I think we should look at what's going to happen if we don't increase the price of our products, meaning that we're not going to raise the prices, but we're going to have to absorb the increase in costs. So let's look at we want to look at the retail and wholesale. So let me make like a special grid here so we know that this is sort of a separate part of the spreadsheet here. Okay. So on the retail side, we have to start with the old retail sales, because we didn't increase, because we're using the old retail sales because we're saying we're not increasing the sales, but the costs are going to increase. So we're going to have to, the costs for the retailer are going to be the wholesale costs. So we're going to subtract that from the new wholesale costs. Here are the two total wholesales. Okay, so let me just enter that. All right, so this is the profits, but this doesn't answer the question because we want to know what's the change going to be. So here's the total change in retail profits if we do increase the price. So let me just change this. Okay, so this is basically what this is our profits if costs increase. But we should also look at what are the profits if we increase the retail price. So let's see, do we have that? Change in wholesale, change in retail dollars. New retail profits. These are the new retail profits. So what we should do is we should subtract from this the new retail profit, total profits. So basically what it's saying, if we don't increase our prices, we're going to lose 1.9 million in retail profits. And we can do this from the wholesale side too, but from here we're going to take the old wholesale sales, and then we're going to subtract from that the new costs. So let's go back here. Let's see. New wholesale costs. So this would be if the cost increases but we don't increase the wholesale prices, and we're going to subtract from that the new wholesale profits. All right. Oh, I lost the other part. All right. So let's do that again. I can do my undo here, get back to the formula. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is I want to subtract from this the new costs. I'm sorry, the new wholesale profits. Now this number looks suspiciously big. So new wholesale profits. So when you get a number like this, number is $1 billion. How is that possible? So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sort by column T to see which number is making that so big that it doesn't look right. So I'm going to highlight the whole area. I'm going to hit data, and I'm going to sort by column T. So I'm going to take off the headers here and just say sort by T. And I'm going to say largest to smallest. Okay. Let's go back to column T here. Oh, so we have a few NAs here. I'm going to undo that because I don't know why these NAs are coming up. Okay, so I see now that this number is way too big. It just doesn't make sense. But I see now that the formula should be Q minus K. And we have a multiplication sign here. The letters are actually different now because I added a new column, but I needed to minus those, not multiply them. That makes a big difference. Okay, so now 37 million seems a lot more appropriate. So we get the correct answer here of if we don't increase the price of our products, but the costs increase, what will be, the change in profits? Okay, so that was question 2. Question 3, if we don't increase the price of our products, what is the change in total GM resulting from the increase in costs? Okay, so we're looking for the change in gross margin resulting from the increase. So if we don't change our prices, what is the change in gross margin? Remember, the goal is to maintain gross margins. Our shareholders will not accept a percentage drop in gross margin. Okay, this is easy. So I'm going to take this question here, and let's pop it over here. Okay, so this question 3 here, we should put a 3. It's pretty simple. So we're just going to take the resulting change in GM. We're going to take the old GM for retail, and we're going to minus the new GM for retail. If we don't increase. Oh, so we're going to actually have to create a new column. Let's just start with wholesale. So wholesale, we actually have the old wholesale, and then we can subtract the new wholesale without the cost increase. I'm sorry, with the cost increase, and what we get is the change. But we should really do that based on the total column. So what we could do is, we'll do this for retail first. So we'll say, we want to get the numbers that we're going to be working with first. So what we're going to need to work with here is, let me just move that over so you can see the column working. So we're going to need the columns, the numbers to work with here. If we don't increase the price of our products, what is the change in the GM? So that means we're going to need, if we don't increase the price of the products, we're going to take old retail, because that's without increasing the price, but we're going to have an increase in costs. So we're going to want to have new wholesale. No. Yeah. Actually, I think we only need to do this. I'm sorry for going back and forth. We only really need to do this for wholesale, because retail is always going to be a steady based off of wholesale. So for wholesale, we're going to take let's list out the old wholesale sales, right? And then we're going to list the old, the new costs for wholesales. So this is saying we're not raising the wholesales, but the costs are increasing. New wholesale costs. Okay, so now that we have this, I could say, again, let me move this over, such a big spreadsheet. What is the change in total GM resulting from the increase in costs? So we could say GM here is going to be sales minus costs divided by sales. So this is the GM if we don't increase the wholesale prices. So the change would be the new GM if we don't increase prices minus what we calculated. We have to calculate the current GM, which is going to be, let's bring in new wholesale sales, and we have the new costs already, so we can calculate, actually bring this formula, oh, you can't see, I'm just going to bring this formula down, so then we could say the new minus the old minus the new, format it as percent, so we'd have, this would be the change in that. Okay. All right. Use your skills you learned from lynda.com, which is actually LinkedIn Learning Lectures to enhance the appearance of the spreadsheet. Set print ranges, use correct formatting. Totals, create totals at the top of the page for the columns in total in dollars, and create totals, calculate the average GM for wholesale and retail. All right. So that's basically what they're saying here, is that, you know, proper formatting. So here we can actually create, this is the total. So I'm gonna put in this formatting, which is the accounting formatting, to say that this is the total column. So I wrote totals here, and I put the double line below them so we know that these are totals at the top. And then we could add in old wholesale GM by taking the totals, which would be old wholesale sales minus cost divided by sales. Where'd that go? Oh. Just gonna divided by sales. Okay. So this percentage, see the 64.5? Yeah, that's close to what we got before. Okay, so here is the new wholesale GM. So if I use I can basically work off of this column. Oops. Oh no, I hit the dreaded Excel help, which is never any help. Okay. Actually, if I take this formula, put this up here, no. That's not working. Okay. E minus L. that's on the individual, so I want the total. So I want the new wholesale sales. This is the new total cost. Old. Let's be back this way. New wholesale sales minus the new wholesale cost divided by the new wholesale sales, but I have to put in those parentheses. This is just a standard GM calculation, and there's the new GM percent. Okay, so change in wholesale GM. So the change would be new minus the old, and that's the average change. And we could do the same for retail. Oh, we're actually not calculating the retail profit margins in here. Okay. All right, so that would be part of what they're saying to do in the memo, to calculate the average GM. I'm doing that off the total. So to calculate the average, I'm just using the totals using the GM formula. Now, set print range, use correct formatting, and improve the appearance of the spreadsheet. So for print ranges, what we should do is, if we want to do a print range, we want to highlight the whole printable area. So we're going to highlight all these columns, and then we're going to go to page layout, and we're going to go to print area. We're going to click on set print area. So now the print area is set. But we should also follow up with a page setup. So if we go into page setup here, I want to do this probably in landscape, and I probably want to adjust it to be a little bit smaller. And then I can adjust the margins, make the margins smaller. I can put a header and a footer in, so maybe I want to put a page number in. And for the sheet, I want to repeat rows at the top. So I'm going to click this to repeat this row at the top. And then I could do a print preview. And I'd see here in the print preview that I still have some columns hanging off here. So that doesn't look too great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and I'm going to hit escape to get out of that, and I'm going to page setup again, and I'm going to shrink it to maybe 40% and do the print preview. Okay, so now everything is fitting on the page. And the reason we're setting these print ranges up, and it's important to important to have these rows repeat at the top, because we want each page to have the titles on it. Okay. So, and we also, when we set these print ranges, it's just professional, because we don't want 50,000 pages printing out. We want to make it set up so if it prints, it's going to print out properly. Okay, so print ranges are set. I used the correct formatting as I was going through. The totals are at the top, and I calculated GMs. So now it says create an executive summary of the results containing the following. So create a short memo and display this information. So this different information you're going to pull out of the file you created. And down here, these are the formulas I was talking about for calculating wholesale gross margin percentage and retail gross margin percentage. So that's just some of those formulas I was calculating here. I was using those. So now that the data is all together here, and I have my totals, I have a little additional information over here, now you can go ahead, create this. Let me delete that. Let's create a new sheet. Executive summary. Move this to the first position, and now you can create your executive summary and finish the case by analyzing the data that we just put together in the spreadsheet. Okay, so that's basically how you complete the spreadsheet price and cost increase, and this is just using basic business tech terminology of retail and wholesale sellers in a company that is both the retailer and the wholesaler, and figuring out if costs increase, what are we going to do? How do we maintain our profit margins? We're going to have to increase our prices, but by how much? So this is basically a spreadsheet to show retailers how they and wholesalers how they can increase their price to maintain their profit margins so they don't disappoint investors. So basically passing the costs along to the consumer. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video and it helped you to complete this week's case. And I look forward to reviewing and grading your casework. Thank you very much and take care.